I coached for Coach Stallings, I guess 1 year, maybe 2 years, when he was an assistant coach at Alabama. I was in '64, and I'm not sure if it was '65 also, but I know in '64 I was like his graduate assistant as a young coach myself. Was around him a little bit. When Coach Bryant retired from Alabama, I went to Notre Dame and coached there for 3 years. And while I was at Notre Dame, Coach Stallings on a couple occasions came to the campus at Notre Dame to work out a Notre Dame player or whatever, and he and I would spend a little time together and kind of kept up that way. And when my time at Notre Dame ended, Coach Stallings was being hired as the head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals. And through Bobby Marks and Dee Powell, both who played with Coach Stallings at A&M and coached with me here at Alabama, and I had called Coach Stallings, but I also had those two guys helping me with this. Coach Stallings hires me to coach the receivers and the tight ends with the St. Louis Cardinals. But then that was the first time that I had been around him in a working situation for 30 years, 20 or 30 years, I suppose. But I felt very comfortable with Coach Stallings, always have. He has a lot of similarities to Coach Bryant. Without question, he had total control of those players in the NFL where he was the head coach. That made it easier for the assistant coaches, and certainly easier for me because I had never coached in the NFL. And then when he came back to Alabama, got the head coaching job at Alabama in the '90 season, he offered me the position on his staff to come back, and never dreamed that I would come back to Alabama, but I was eager to do so, and I appreciate Coach Stallings for giving me that opportunity. Well, I think, again, both schools have the great traditions. General Neyland that coached for so many years at Tennessee and the great success that he had. Wallace Wade, Frank Thomas, Coach Bryant at Alabama, the great success, great tradition here. It's just a natural rival within the Southeastern Conference, and I think it's one of the big games that we play every year. When Coach Bryant was here, it was huge to him because it was when he was a player, and it was when he was at Kentucky. It was the big game in his mind. Tennessee was famous for the single wing. I can remember when Johnny Majors was playing and was the tailback, and we always had the open date simply to prepare for the single wing offense. No one else ran it. Very similar to Alabama in the wishbone. People like to have the open dates to prepare for the unusual offensive schemes that we ran from the wishbone. But Tennessee brought that extra feeling of excitement. You know, it was a great setting to play Tennessee, and it was the big game. It was kind of the turning point in the season for us. If we could get to Tennessee undefeated and win the game, then the great chance of going undefeated were there, because you had now the opportunity to get better and better as you go along, as you take on the other opponents.